If you're trying to make a major decision at the moment, then you are in the right place, my friend, because today we're talking about an effective decision-making process to help you with those big decisions that can get you really clear and moving forward with clarity, and also get you moving and building momentum towards those things. So hey, what's up family? My name is Mitch. If you're new here, I'm a clarity coach. I help you create a life, job, and impact that aligns with who you uniquely are, because you are awesome, my friend. And so before we jump into the decision-making process, I want to clarify that this is quite a extensive process. It's also quite a logical process. So this is, not something that you would pull out when you're at a restaurant trying to make a decision. This is really for something where you're trying to make a big decision in your life and you really want to make a good decision. And also acknowledging that it's coming from quite a logical standpoint. So there's lots of bodily types of sensation and intuition decision-making processes we can go through. And this one is more of a pros and cons weighted type of decision-making process. So the decision-making process has a few steps to it, and I've got them up right now. So first, it's to set deadlines, then get clear on your outcomes, set your priorities and your parameters, what your options are, do the research required, weighted pros and cons, and then finally decide. And so I'm going to go into those with a little bit more detail now. So the first one is to set your deadlines. And I think this is really important, especially to do at the start of this process. It can be helpful to do, but taking into account how big this decision is, how much time you really want to spend on this decision, and setting that deadline to be like, okay, at this point, I'm making a decision and I'm moving forward. And, that'll get you moving a little bit, because it's like, okay, I can't keep putting this off. I've got to make this decision by then. So one, it's going to keep you accountable. But two, it's forcing you to actually make a decision. And sometimes we can really, linger on these things. And that's part of the problem, is that we can not decide and then get stuck in the place that we are now, where we don't want to be. So when setting your deadline, I also want you to take into account who you are as a person. So, I am a person that I can get quite excited about things, and then I can, sort of ride a wave of emotions. And when I want to when I want to make a big decision, it's good for me to allow some time, like a month or so that I can ride that wave of being excited and then coming down the other side of it and making my decision, allowing me to make it from a more neutral standpoint. So bring some self-awareness into it of how much space you generally need, and the types of states that you tend to go through when making decisions. And also how much time you're actually going to have available during this period. If you're going to be super hectic for the next month, then you maybe need to, some more time. But if you have absolutely nothing on, you don't have a job, you don't have anything, you just have free time at the moment, maybe a month, is too long. And you want to find that space where it's you've got enough time to go through the process, but you don't have too much time where you can start second guessing and overthinking, because that's where we'll run into some problems. Hey, if you're enjoying this so far, I would love if you could hit that like and subscribe. Thank you. The next is to set your outcome. So what are you actually trying to achieve from this decision? If you're thinking about, changing jobs, it could be that you're trying to do work that you enjoy. Or it could be that you're trying to make more money, or, there could be a range of outcomes that you're trying to get from this decision as well. So get them all out and just really get clear on what it is that you're actually trying to create. So you've sort of got that North Star that you can ground yourself in. And also in that, not just setting outcomes of tangible outcomes, but also what feelings are you trying to achieve? If you're trying to change jobs, are you trying to achieve, more joy in your work? Are you trying to gain more authority? Are you trying to grow as a person? What are the feelings behind some of these outcomes as well? Next up, we've got setting your priorities and your parameters. So based on those outcomes and also other factors in your life, number your priorities in how important they are for you when making this decision. So these can be really good to stay accountable to the things in our life we need to pay attention to and don't want to forget about. Also setting our parameters in terms of like, I don't want to do anything outside of this range. So maybe that's like, I don't want to move from my current location, or I don't want to make less money, or I don't want to, whatever that is, and just all those things that are parameters where you can be like, everything outside of that is off the table. That can be really great to just narrow down your options, because often when we're making decisions, part of the problem is that there's too many decisions and too many options. And so by being able to really clearly just take a bunch of things off the table that you don't want to do, that can make the process easier down the line, as well as making sure it's aligned with what you actually want. So next up, we've got our options, and we're going to take some inspiration from design thinking here, and we're just going to get everything on a page, everything you can possibly think of in terms of your options, to just get them on a page. And when you think you're out of options, I want you to think of what is the worst thing you could do? What is the absolute, like 100% don't want to do that? Even put them down and allow those to inspire other things, because by getting everything out, you maybe had like 2 or 3 key options that you were trying to decide behind, but by getting everything out, even the ones that we definitely don't want to do, they can act as inspiration for how we could tweak some of our major ones and have them include even more of what we want. Whereas sometimes we can think quite linear about, it's this or this. And by getting everything out, we could create a third option or a fourth option, or tweak some of the major options to include all the things that we want in them. Also, 2 important options to put down is the option to do nothing and the option to not make a decision. And the only thing you want to be careful of with these 2 is that when you're deciding to do nothing or you're deciding to not make a decision, that those are decisions. They're not as a result of complacency or laziness or whatever it is, and just, not getting around to it. It's perfectly fine to do nothing, but as long as doing nothing was a choice and not just an occurrence. So now that you've got all your options out, now you want to narrow down to a handful of options. So there's no real number that is the best to make a decision out of. I personally like getting down to around 2 or 3 to make a decision out of, because sometimes I get overwhelmed. It's too much to think about if there's more than that. But if there's some major ones that you think should be included, then the more narrowed down you can get on a couple different options that are the real key ones, and not, having like 5 or 6 options, really culling the ones that you're like, okay, that's a maybe, but it's probably not going to be it. It's going to make your decision-making process easier down the line, because there's more work to go from here. And so now that you've got your main options, now we're moving into research, and we don't want to get bogged down in the research. It's really easy to continue researching and using it as a procrastination tool to just like not make the decision. So we really want to employ the 20-80 rule here, and just like picking the core things that are going to have the biggest impact on the decision. So for each option, even probably sticking to like, what are the 5 key pieces of information that I need to know about this option that is going to make that decision, makeable from an educated and an informed place, but acknowledging that, we're not trying to get to 100% certainty about every single option, because then we're just going to get stuck in this spot. So just pick those 5 key ones and do some good research to get clear and be able to make an informed decision. After our research stage, now we're going into our weighted pros and cons. So I'm sure we've all done a pros and cons list before. I'm not sure if you've done a weighted one. So I, again, don't like getting too overwhelmed by too many options and things going on. So for each option, I would recommend a list of around 5 to 10 pros and cons, just the major ones. They can be a little bit longer if you really need to, but really trying to get down to what are the major pros and cons of each option and then weighting them. So we weight each option with how likely that thing is to happen, as well as the impact or how potent or severe that thing, if it does occur, will be. So if you were thinking of changing jobs and one of your options was to go start your own business, one of the cons of that may be that the business will fail and you'll make no money. And that can seem like really daunting sitting there. But if you evaluate that and say, okay, how likely is that to actually come off? Well, I'm actually pretty well prepared. I've done this before. I've got some good skills. Maybe that's like a 2 that it's going to be likelihood that it's going to be an absolute flop and I'll make no money from it. But the severity of that would be, a 9 or a 10 if I have no income coming in at all, depending on where you are in your life. And so after we've done the pros and cons for what will happen for each of these decisions, I want you to also think about 2 pros and cons for each of the decisions of things that won't happen through making that decision. So if I was to move overseas to Thailand, there's going to be things that I potentially miss out on by leaving. Maybe it's not having as close contact with my close friends, or maybe there's things that I'm avoiding that I really don't want to do. So maybe that's a positive as well. But just shifting your frame of thinking from what will happen if you make these choices to also what won't happen and some of the things you could be missing out on. And again, weighting those things as well. And so now that we've got all our options down with all our pros and cons that are weighted for each option, now we're moving into the mitigate stage. So here's where we can start to think a bit more dynamically and start to fill in some of the gaps in terms of like, we can often think of our choices as like, that is happening and, when I do this, it'll be like this. And if I do this, it'll be like this. And those don't overlap in any ways. And so here's a chance where we can go, okay, if I did option A, could I still do some of these things from option B? Like, does it necessarily exclude me from being able to do those things? And trying to mitigate by just like making these options as diverse and able to hit your desired outcomes as much as possible. Here is also a phase where I think it's really important to talk to someone about your decision and your thought processes so far. And so I would recommend, if you are going to talk to someone about your decision, that you're picking someone that's a really good listener in your life, and someone that's, tell them in advance, but that they're not there to solve the problem for you. You're not coming to them so that they can give you a solution, but more to just run them through how you've gotten to this point in the process, speaking through how you've gotten to this and whether everything makes sense or whether you've missed anything. And so their role is not to solve the problem, but just to be there as a mirror for what is happening right now. Because sometimes we can, get into a bit of a story in our own heads of how things are. And when we actually try to describe how we're thinking about things to other people, just the process of verbalizing it, one can give us insights about the thing that we hadn't yet thought about, and also can be an opportunity for them to reflect back to you some of maybe the inconsistencies in your decision making. And the final step in the process is to decide. So I would encourage leaving a little bit of space between, the mitigate stage and coming up with the pros and cons and having a bit of space between having all the workings out done and the final decision. And when you are making that final decision, like I said before, how sometimes, my emotional state can go up and down, and I don't want to be making decisions from like a really elated, excited space, because if I'm up here, I'm probably overlooking some of the negatives that are, need to be addressed. And if I'm down here and I'm being pessimistic, then that's not a good space to be making decision from either. So trying to be in that neutral space when you're making decisions. And when you have been able to make that decision, we want to burn our bridges. So once that decision is made, cutting off any possibilities of going back on that decision. And the reason for this is that when we allow ourselves to say, okay, I'll decide on this, but that might not be the final decision, we can regret our decision. There was this experiment that was done, and a bunch of people were given paintings from this gallery. And half of the people were told that their painting was final, like they weren't allowed to return it. They just received the painting and that was done. And the other half were told that they could have this painting, and if in a month or a period of time they didn't enjoy the painting, they could return it and get another painting. And when they interviewed these people after, the people that weren't given the choice to go back on their decision were far happier with their paintings. And the people that were allowed to change their decision and give the painting back were far more unhappy and dissatisfied with the painting they received. And so when we open the door to going back on our decisions, we open the door to regret and to thinking ourselves out of it, which is not a space that we want to be in. So when we make a decision like this, a big decision, and we've done all this work to get to this point, burn your bridges and just go forward now. And so there's two types of decisions. There's decisions that cannot be changed, and there's decisions that can be changed. So, an example of something that cannot be changed is if you voted in the election for someone that was running, once that has been voted, you tomorrow can't change your mind and then change your vote. So that's done. Whereas there's other decisions, like potentially changing jobs could be one. If you went and tried something for a period of time, you can always change your decision again and go try something else. Or maybe you wanted to go see this movie, and unless it was the only showing of that movie, you could also go see this movie next week. And so the decision can be made again. But even though with those decisions that can be made again, we still want to burn our bridges. And once the decision is made, move forward and start taking action on that decision that's been made. And then in a period of time, if it's not feeling right, if it's, something that we are reconsidering, then once we've given it the chance to succeed, that could look like a week, it could look like a month, it could look like whatever it is for you, but really moving forward and giving it the chance to succeed. And then after that, we can always come back and make the decision again. But if we make the decision and then don't burn the bridges and then spend the next 3 days thinking about it and then blah, 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 and not taking that massive action towards that thing, you never know if it was really working or not because you didn't give it the chance to. And so that was the end of the decision-making process. I hope that you can use this in your life to make some really great decisions. And another benefit of this process is that through going through all of these steps, you also have it all written down. You also have something that you can reflect back on and say, oh yeah, this is why I got into this. This is why, this was the core reason why I started doing this in the first place. And then we can reflect on that in the future, because sometimes we can make decisions and then forget why we did it, which can lead us to be uncertain, or it can lead us to sort of get off path a little bit. And so having this process is really great to reflect back on as well. So I hope you have taken something from this. I hope you can go out there and smash some decisions. If this has been helpful, please let me know down below. If there's something you're deciding on, I'd love to know about it down below as well. And if you wanted to chat, if you're really you've heard all this, but you're still struggling with some uncertainty, then, feel free to get in contact with me as well. So that is all for now. Hope you enjoyed it. Remember to hit that like and subscribe, and I will see you soon. See you, fam.